Hello cricket, and welcome to the world-exclusive ZaltZone preview of the second Ashes Test with me, Andy Zaltzman, international cricketer. It's just one of the things I cannot claim to be, alongside freelance astronaut anymore. Well, never got a booking, had to shut down the business. Odd. I was dead cheap as well. So much for free market economics. So the Ashes are currently underway in what's that big place? In the sea. Pointy bit at the top, a little bit fell off the bottom, big sandpit in the middle, just south of Papua New Guinea. Greenland? Baggy Greenland. Australia, that's it. It's all happening in Australia, it's flooding back. England, of course, attempting to recover from a disastrous start to the tour, and this week their massive 2,000-strong backroom staff have really been coming into their own. The ECB's spiritual medium, the incredible mysterious Janet, has spent the week using the ECB's ouija board to commune with the spirits of Len Hutton and Johnny Douglas, who both skippered England to Ashes victories down under despite having taken a first test spanking. My sources from inside the ECB... who am I kidding? My sources from the afterlife claim that Hutton suggests picking Stephen Finn regardless of form, cranking him up and telling him to bowl like the wind, just like Frank Tyson did for him in 1954-55, whereas Douglas, the 1911-12 captain, advocates dropping Carberry and Tremlett and recalling Jack Hobbs and SF Barnes, both, according to him, in absolutely terrific form right now beyond the grave, and after all, there is no substitute for experience. Douglas also defended Jimmy Anderson's "I'm going to punch you in the face" jibe from the first test. I often used to punch people in the face, he said, as hard as possible. But then again, I was Olympic middleweight boxing champion in 1908, and I did most of my punching in the face inside the boxing ring. But I like to think that Anderson was merely channeling the eternal continuum of English cricket heritage. Bye-bye. So, England have to get back on the horse. Yet again, after another first test disappointment. In the past, they've generally proved able to get back on that horse. In India, they then rode that horse like a young Harvey Smith, whilst in the UAE 2 winters ago, they shouted giddy up and promptly fell straight back off the horse. So, the Adelaide form guide, well, it's actually been relatively even in Adelaide in recent Ashes. England won there in 78-79, Australia then in 82-83. There were draws in the next 2 series before England won there, surprisingly, in 94-95, and then Australia fluked a couple of massive wins in 1998 and 2002-3. There was no Adelaide Test match in the 2006-7 Ashes. None at all. I did it. And of course England won there convincingly by an innings last time round. In last year's Adelaide Test, Australia power slammed 482 for 5 in 87 overs on the first day. But then in the 4th innings, South Africa stodge defied them, scoring 248 for 8 in 148 overs. Not necessarily a game of 2 halves, but certainly a game of 2 ends. In that game, South Africa's debutant number 6 scored 78 and 110 not out. So the stage is set. Gary Ballance or Ben Stokes, after du Plessis last year, anything less than 188 runs for once out will be a humiliating failure. Bit harsh, but we have to set our standards high in English cricket. So if last year is anything to go by, it could be hard to force a victory. Or if the last Ashes Test is anything to go by, when Australia folded like a shy origami pigeon with heavy thunderstorms in sight to lose on the final morning, well, it could be quite easy to force a victory. So, can Australia, with the confidence of their first test win since January in their collective oven, bake that confidence into a cake of genuine belief by backing it up in Adelaide? Or, as they did after their apparently series-turning wins in Leeds and Perth in the last 2 Ashes, can they back it up by getting A, soundly beaten as at the Oval in 2009, or B, mercilessly pulverised as at the MCG 3 years ago? Or will it be a high-scoring draw? Yes, and yes might be the answers. Time, that secretive little blighter, will tell. And finally, on the subject of sledging, in an effort to restrain the verbal vendettas that scarred and or enhanced the first test, elite according to preference, the ICC has announced that all sledging in Adelaide must be submitted at least an hour in advance by handwritten letter to the third umpire, who will then at the next drinks break take the sledges out onto the field for the standing umpires to deliver to the players in as verbally neutral a tone as possible. Hopefully that will keep a lid on things in Adelaide. So enjoy the game, cricket. I'll be back to tell you what happened in that game after that game has happened. Goodbye.